Going on, guys? Fizz here once again. So the Atlas passive trees came out today, so I streamed, sat down, and read through all of the nodes and made my starting passive tree. Before I get started here, I do want to say, reading through all the nodes, a lot of them were actually pretty good. I didn't really see very many that I kind of like scratched my head at. A lot of them, as expected, were just the normal Atlas region passive trees that were just put into this. But there were a lot of like new ones that looked pretty good. I mean, like overall, I don't have much of a problem with how the tree is situated. Obviously, it's the very first iteration of this, so like I'm sure like as time goes on, maybe like a few weeks to a month into the league, I'll have a lot more thoughts to share based off the Atlas tree. But initial impressions, the tree looks really solid. I was actually very happy that there wasn't like, I mean, this is a little bit selfish, but when I was planning my initial tree, I was pretty happy that there wasn't like must takes on the left side, but also the right side. And I had to make some hard decisions. Most of the stuff that I wanted lined up pretty well. So I do want to say that starting off that the tree looks really good. A lot of nodes look really worth taking. Before really diving into my tree, I do really want to stress, take what you think is fun. Don't copy what I'm doing. Don't copy what someone else is doing. Don't care about efficiency. A lot of these nodes look really strong. A lot of them look like you can just play what you want and you're going to be rewarded for it. I really wouldn't worry about super min-maxing. The only small exception to that is if you like, obviously if you want to race, or if like you're playing SSF, obviously you're still going to want to grab harvest nodes and essence nodes. Those are kind of like a mainstay staple of SSF because that's how you're going to be getting most of your gear. Outside of those two caveats, just take whatever you want anywhere else on the tree. And even in SSF, you take those mandatory nodes, and then you still have, you know, like 70 to 80 more passive points you can spend on whatever you want. So just take what you like, take what you think is fun, and don't worry about it too much. Experiment around and have fun with it. There's tons of nodes that I'm still, you know, I'm gonna try out throughout the league and everything, but this is my like day 1, day 2, day 3 tree to get everything that I like care about out of the way. So I'll kind of break it down. So starting off here, we take the Syndicate missions just to start getting like some Syndicate stuff ASAP, because I care a lot about getting the unveiled crafts and stuff. That's stuff you're going to want to get out of the way like super fast at the beginning of the league, right? I might also, by the way, like right here, accidentally like anoint skills as I try to drag the tree around because it seems like super finicky with like actually speccing passive. So just ignore that. It's not intentional. So going up through here, I grabbed the strongbox nodes. You'll see why later on, but basically just strongbox nodes, a little bit of juice to the map. Not super important. I actually did not, it's hard to tell, right? Because there's no like heat map for how they're pathed or when they were pathed, but this was actually one of the last ones I grabbed once I grabbed a higher up node that I'll go into later. But when I first start off, you just path up, grab the essence nodes, start. This is honestly so good that this is at the very beginning of the tree. You can start having essences in your maps like immediately after getting the maps. Like if you look at this, your first tier 1 map, your second tier 1 map, your third tier 1 map, and your fourth tier 1 map. So by the time you're at a tier 1 maps, or by the time you're like finishing your tier 1 map, like 4 maps in, 4 Atlas bonus completion in, you already have essences on every map you run for the rest of the Atlas. That is so good. So yeah, it's amazing that they, you know, had like the presence of mind to put some of these really nice ones down at the very beginning. I really like that. So Syndicate, the essences moving up through here. So this, I want to go into this node a little bit. Spoils of War. I think this node is crazy good. So I'll explain why. So the small nodes give you 3 total rares per zone, or like increased rares per zone, I should say. And rare monsters have a 1% chance to drop additional basic currency, which is cool. But rare monsters in areas also have a 5% chance to drop an additional rare jewelry item. So why is this so big? Well, when you think about it, they're getting 3 extra rares per map, just baseline, right? And then think about all the rest of the juice on this tree, as well as how many rares you just have in general, in addition to all the rares being added through Arch Nemesis, right? That's a lot of rares in every map. And you think 5% chance to drop additional rare jewelry item. So keep in mind, Atlas regions are gone. Atlas regions are not part of the Atlas at all anymore, which means Atlas base types can drop anywhere in the map. Atlas. They can drop anywhere in the Atlas. So that's really nice because things like vermilion rings can drop anywhere at any time. So not only is this good for getting like vermilion rings or getting really good rings and amulets early on, you now kind of want to be picking up and IDing like every rare amulet you find, because now you can roll +1 and +2 to gems on amulets baseline. It's not part of an influence pool anymore. You can just randomly pick up an amulet and it could have +2 to all skill gems on it, which is just crazy. So there's a million reasons why this this node is actually really strong, I think, but just I think this should be like a absolute no-brainer. It's so easy and accessible to the very beginning of the tree. It's awesome that they put it on so early, and like especially in SSF and stuff, you just pick up rings. Like most, until you're like super end game, most of the jewelry you're going to be using on like every build outside of like curse on hit rings is just going to be something you picked up and ID'd and it ended up being good. That's how most, I would say most people end up using jewelry in the game until you're like, you know, like crafting like end game vermilions and stuff like that later on, and curse on hit rings. I think this is 100% worth taking on any build you do. So these two is where it kind of gets like build dependent. So I think the shrine nodes are actually really good across the whole tree. The shrine nodes look amazing. The increased duration from the small nodes, as well as guaranteeing a shrine on every map, seems really awesome. So the heist nodes, I actually hate heist. I'm sure if you've, you know, come to the stream or just frequented the channel for a while, I talk about it not infrequently, how much I don't like heist. However, I am league starting with Impale Helix Champion. You need the fledgling helmet from that, which is a helmet you can only get from doing heist. So I'm specking one heist node to make it a little bit easier to get my contracts so I can get that helmet ASAP. As soon as I get that helmet, I am 100% specking out of this node and I'm not touching it for the rest of the league. So moving on a little bit here to the left, more essence nodes. So this is a really, really good node here. So the small nodes, the thing that, real quick, the thing that I love about the Atlas passive tree is that all of the small nodes feel good. It's not like the normal passive tree for your character where you're pathing passive nodes that kind of like don't do anything for the build. All the small passives feel so good. So there's no exception here. 5% chance to have additional essence, 5% chance to have additional essence, and then imprisoned monsters in areas have 15% chance to have 3 additional essences. So it's super good. This is obviously just another one of those region passives from Haywark that they put on the tree. I'm glad it stayed around. So moving down here, shaping the mountains, 5% chance to be 1 tier higher, 5% chance to be 1 tier higher. Maps have 10% chance to add a random free craft to your map device, and 15% chance to be 1 tier higher. So this is all like map sustain, Atlas progression type stuff. Want to get as many maps in the pool as fast as possible when you're starting out. So there's a lot of nodes all in, you know, all spec close together here. So I'll kind of go over what was spec first in that order. So first off, I grabbed the first harvest cluster you're going to see. So the small nodes all give additional crafting option, and then the large one is all sacred groves in the area contain an additional harvest. Obviously, if you're playing SSF, and even if you're not, harvest is still incredibly strong mainstay in every SSF build ever. So I think this change in general of the regions going away is really cool for SSF specifically, I think, because we don't have to sit in Haywark Hamlet for our entire lives anymore. We're just like, there's other maps out there. We can do other things. This is going to be in every map. It's going to feel great. Anyway, next up, Harby. So I think Harby nodes on the tree actually look really good. So this is just adding a harbinger to every map. And the small nodes, it's 40% total for them to drop an additional currency shard. This is really good, and I'll get why later, further up on the tree with the other nodes I have spec. So another map sustain / like map pool type passive node here. So this is 5% maps have a chance to be 5% higher, 5% higher, 15% higher, and 3% chance on completing areas to gain a free use of a special map crafting option. So a lot of these are like, a lot of the nodes I've taken are based around like getting map sustain and building up my map pool as fast as possible. Obviously that's subject to change. Like if I feel like I'm getting like way more maps than I need or whatever, I can take points out. Like obviously the trees are very like, I can't think of the word. You're not like locked in. They're very easy to like change around and everything. So this is just my like very early on tree, get all the necessary stuff out of the way. So moving on, it's the next harvest cluster. The small nodes again have 3% an additional crafting option, and the notable being 4% chance to contain the Sacred Grove. Really, I don't care about the Sacred Grove. In fact, I don't think you need to have this spec at all. I just think I'm coming down here for bribery, which I think is really important for the first day or two. Why? The small nodes here, 1% chance. Maps have 1% chance to grant an additional Jun mission on completion. And then Immortal Syndicate members have 15% chance to drop an additional veiled item. And then the very big note here, Immortal Syndicate members in areas are 200% more likely to offer to bargain for items. So this is big because, like, two parts, right? Immortal Syndicate members in areas drop 200% more items when bargained with for items. So they're 200% more likely to actually offer it to you. And then when you take it, they drop 200% more items. So this is going to apply obviously to like currency drops and stuff like that as well, but that's not why I'm taking it. I'm taking it so like when I find Elrion or I find Gravicius, it's very likely they go, hey man, don't kill me. I'll give you like some veiled items. And I go, okay, give me some veiled items. And then they drop a shit ton of veiled items and it like drastically increases the chance that I'm going to get like my Gravicius chestcraft or my Elrion rings, you know, or like just the chaos hybrid crafts like as fast as possible, which is what I care about. And then once I get it, I'll probably spec out of everything over here just to save points, and I'll spec more stuff higher up on the tree. And then these nodes may not even be worth taking at all. We'll have to see. You could probably just do something like this, but I think 100% bribery is super worth taking early on to get your veiled mods as fast as possible. So moving up through the tree here, just travel nodes, and all of these travel nodes are 0.5% chance for map drops to be duplicated, which is crazy. So we get to another harbinger node, and this is kind of why I took the other one. So areas have 5% chance to contain an additional harbinger, 5% chance, 5% chance, so 15% chance total, right? And then unspeakable offensive. So harbingers in area have 60% increased cooldown recovery rate. And harbingers in areas summon 60% more minions. And currency shards dropped by harbingers in areas can drop as currency items instead. So instead of getting an ancient orb shard, you have a chance to get an ancient orb, which is really cool. And you may think like, why do you want to take a like technically like more dangerous passive? Well, the reason why is because I actually like harbingers have always been really good for getting currency, especially ancient orbs and SSF. However, they're super annoying to deal with, especially ever since they added the boss harbinger, because you have to sit there and they like summon some monsters and then you like pretty much instantly kill them, and then you're just waiting, and then the harbinger like does some random shit, and then he summons some monsters and then you kill them, and you're just kind of like, there's so much waiting. It feels terrible. So them summoning more minions and then using their abilities a lot faster should mean that overall the harbingers should die a lot faster. So that seems like a massive quality of life, as well as you would take this anyway at the chance of like dropping just full items instead of shards, right? That's obviously there's no value there. We don't know how much it is, but it's probably worth taking, especially if you're building around like, you know, harbingers to begin with. So going down here, I spec'd up through here. Maps have 4% chance to be 1 tier higher. Again, just like Atlas is saying stuff. Shaping the Seas. Maps have a 25% increased chance to be favored maps, and maps dropped have a 15% chance to be 1 tier higher. So here you'll notice that I kind of break off and go really far left. Big reason being another essence node. This duplicates shrieking essences, which is a little rippy. So I don't know if I'm going to take this right off the bat, but it is a lot more essences you're getting. This tree is you are going to have so many essences, even like compared to like the old Haywork tree. So moving on to the left, again, I'm league starting with Spectral, Helix, and Pale champion. So playing an Impale build, I'm going to want Lord of Steel ASAP. If you don't know, Lord of Steel is a pretty common unique to get from Ritual. So taking a node here that has 25% increased chance of Ritual altars, or increased chance for Ritual altars to have a special reward, increases our chance of finding a Lord of Steel jewel, as well as being able to reroll them. This is really similar to the Haywork node before. It's just now you can actually get it while getting the essence and the harvest nodes, which is really cool. And then I may also end up taking the ritual node down here. Maybe I take this to increase the spawn rate of them. It still lines up. I don't go beyond the 28 points remaining, which I'll explain why that's important in a minute. But I don't go beyond that. So I may grab that or a few nodes somewhere else, you know, just to increase the chance that I'm getting the rituals as much as possible, because Lord of Steel is a really nice quality of life for the helix clear. Anyway, moving on. Pathing up to the right side, getting the strongbox nodes. And then this is why I grabbed the strongbox nodes down here. So this guarantees a strongbox in every area. And I think this is a really strong 2-pointer. So strongboxes open in areas have a 2% chance to be openable again. That's cool, I guess. I don't really care about that. What I actually care about is strongboxes in areas that have a 6% chance to be an operative strongbox. Now, operative strongbox, as they told us in the reveal trailer, just drops scarabs, which I think this is such a good way to just automate scarabs into your mapping experience. There's tons of strongboxes and maps all the time for free. You get more from the Atlas passives, and like you lose nothing from it. And then just sometimes you'll get a bunch of scarabs, and it's a great way to get a bunch of scarabs without having to invest or interact with any elite mechanics whatsoever. And that's the type of content rather that I like, right? Like I still interact with Syndicate a ton, and I still farm a bunch of scarabs out of Syndicate every league. But just getting them for free, I much prefer that. This probably won't cover all your scarab needs if you're scarabing a lot, but you know, for a 2-pointer, I think it's worth taking. So moving on up, the small passives here also change to 1% increased quantity of items found in areas, which is really good. Quant's cool. Into another essence node. So this is another Haywork passive making a return, as well as the small nodes all having 5% chance to contain an additional essence. So you're going to be getting a ton of essences with this tree. And essences found in areas are a tier higher. Again, it's an old Haywork node seeing a return. Glad it is. These small nodes in the middle are actually really good bang for your buck. It's probably worth taking all 3. I was just trying to be as bare bones as possible. 1% increase quant on all maps, 5% increase rarity. All maps, these are really strong nodes. Giga Juice for free. Moving up here is a harvest node again. So 1% chance to contain Sacred Grove. That's why I've taken the small nodes up here. I want as much chance as possible. Harvest bosses in areas always drop a Sacred Blossom. Don't really care about that, but harvest in areas have 10% chance for the unchosen crop not to wilt. It's an okay one, and it will give you a few harvests, like a few extra harvests every few harvests, if that makes sense. So pretty good. So overall, that's the tree. If you are wondering why specifically I have like a bunch of nodes unallocated, so there's a bunch of passives that you'll get from just completing your Atlas, and then there's a bunch of passives, a decent handful that you'll get from completing endgame boss encounters. As far as we know, I think if I recall correctly, it's 17 from Maven specifically, and then the rest are like dispersed amongst like the Eater of Worlds and the Searing Exarch, and maybe like some dispersed between like Elder and Shaper and stuff. But there's, you know, a fat chunk of them. I think it's 28 total. I may be wrong. I'm getting beeped so much right now, but we're at the end of the video, so I could be wrong, but I think it was 28 and 17 for Maven specifically. But that's why I wanted to make a very bare bones tree. And like I said, this is definitely going to be changing a decent amount, but this is the initial starter tree I have, and why I've taken all the nodes I have. I hope I explained it decently well. And then some of the small nodes, like again, the harvest nodes here, I was kind of like iffy on. Like some of those, you know, there will be small changes here compared to like the final product when I'm actually pushing, you know, on Friday when it starts. But this is like a rough idea of what I have, of what I want to go for at the start, to just, you know, get some of the key items that I need out of the way as soon as possible for the build, as well as getting my map pool up, and just crafting general items that I will need on the character. Like the harvest nodes and the essence nodes are probably just going to be a mainstay for like everything I do, just because, you know, HCSSF, you need to craft gear a ton. Anyway, that is going to be the end of it. If you guys have any questions, recommendations, whatever regarding the Atlas tree, or, you know, just anything, feel free to throw it down in the comments below. As always, you know, I read all the comments and I reply to most of them. So yeah, that's going to be the end of it. Hope you guys liked it. If you enjoyed the video, please leave me a thumbs up. It does help. If you didn't like it, feel free to leave me a thumbs down. Tell me what you think I can do better. And if you're enjoying the content, feel free to leave a sub. I'm trying to get to 1,000. We're getting close, actually, which is very exciting. Anywho, I will see you guys in the next one. Have a good one. Have a good 3.17 league start. See you guys.